Hey, first graders, I have got a collection of rocks here that I would like to sort. And I could try and do it by hand. It's easy for me to pull out some of the bigger things using my hands. But when I get down to trying to sort out some of these a little bit smaller and the really little bit smaller from what's the smallest stuff, it's very difficult to do by hand. I think you can see by when I hold this up to the camera here, there are all sorts of, lots of sand maybe, but all sorts of different sizes of rocks in this container that I'd like to sort if I could, and sort them by size so I can get the bigger rocks separated from the smaller rocks and smaller, smaller, smaller. And the reason that's important is because when we do things using these materials, these are called earth resources. We use this stuff to make a lot of different things that you saw around yesterday in yesterday's activity. That we use rocks for so many different things, and sometimes we want to have specific sizes of rocks to do the things that we want to do. I don't want to really go to a beach that has rocks like this on it. If I'm going to build a beach, I want to use the smallest pieces of rock, which probably sand that is in here, to make my beach easy on my feet and my knees when I'm crawling around and making my sand castles. So we're going to use some special tools today to sort our rocks. So I've got some screens, or sifters are the names. You can see on this one the holes are quite large. So this one will let many things that are small go right through and catch the big stuff on the top. This one is a medium one, so the holes are smaller than on the big one here. So a little bit medium sized sifter. And then I've got one more that the holes are even tinier that will catch more of the smaller stuff, but let the really tiny stuff go all the way through. So I'm going to end up sorting today into 4 different sizes of rocks. So in order to sort, I've got to have a catcher or something to collect the rocks in. First of all, I'm going to get a scoop of my rocks out of my big bucket, and I think I'm going to set that one aside for now. I can come back and do this same thing many times to sort all the rocks. But to start with, I'm going to start with a little container of the rocks from there that have lots of different sizes. And then I'm going to set up my sifter. Sets right on top of an empty container. Let me move that one out of the way, and we'll see what we can do here. So I've got my big hole sifter with a big screen on it, lots of big holes, and I'm going to just pour my rocks right through the sifter. I'm going to give it a little shake and shimmy, try and get everything that will fit through those holes to fall through. And the things that got caught here are what we call big pebbles or large pebbles. So my larger pebbles are the things that got stuck on this catcher. I'm going to set that one up in front there. So now I've got all the biggest pieces, the bigger pebbles, all gone. I've got these littler things left, and we'll learn what those are in just a minute. So I'm going to use my next sifter, my next screen, which will be not the teeniest one, but the medium one here, the medium screen. I'm going to try that one. We'll put it right over here on this side. We'll save that one for later. And so I've got my empty container underneath there and the screen on top, and I pour. Oh, it's pouring right through the littlest. Cool. I've now got some tiny pebbles, or some small pebbles as we would call them. So I have my large pebbles and my small pebbles. Those are kind of cool. I like those. That looks really nice. So I've collected the small pebbles. I'm going to set those back here. But I still have one more screen or sifter to use to try and find rocks of an even smaller than the small pebbles. We're going to find out what that is. Oh, I see some of it going through. If you look at the bottom down there, you can see some of it going through the screen. And I'm going to give it a shake and a shimmy. Slide that around a little bit. Get everything to fall through that will fit through. And now I've got my gravel. This is what I'm going to call gravel. So I've got my large pebbles got caught in the big screen. The small pebbles got caught in the medium screen. My gravel is caught on the tiniest screen. That is really cool stuff. I like that. And then, of course, I think my comfy sand. My camera went off there for a second. My sand is the smallest stuff. It looks like I had a lot. Whoops, I dumped a little bit out. A lot of sand when I scooped out of my big bucket over there. So these are some tools, the screens, that are really useful for sorting rocks by size. Screens or sifters is what we called. Large pebbles, and there's quite a variety of sizes on there I can see. Some really big ones and some smaller ones, but we call those larger pebbles, and that's quite a variety of sizes there. Then when we get to the small pebbles, they're pretty similar in the size that they are. They're very, very similar. And then my gravel is this they look very much the same size. And then sand, of course, is the smallest thing that my sifters let all the way through to the very bottom is my sand. So, some science tools and how scientists can sort rocks. Hope you enjoyed that activity. Important to pay attention here because your review section today is about this process.